Okay, before we get started today, this is a huge spoiler warning for Godzilla Minus One. We will be discussing this movie in its entirety. If you haven't had the chance yet, go watch the movie in theaters. You will thank me for it. You have until Thursday, December the 14th. Grace, I can hear that.
Okay.
So you have until Thursday, December 14th to watch this movie in theaters. After that, it will release on DVD and Blu-ray. But trust me, you want to see this in theaters. But now that we've got the spoiler warning out of the way, welcome back to the Writers' Room. I'm Yuval Green, and I'm joined by my fellow senators Grace and Daniel.
Hi, I'm depressed.
Then they're done that.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, our two other senators, Yair and David, couldn't join us today.
They're also depressed, maybe. We don't know.
Possibly. But I think we might have found something that helps us not be depressed for a little bit. Godzilla Minus One. So,
Totally not depressing in its story.
Oh god, it's really depressing.
It's really depressing.
it is like it's uplifting near the end, but like
Oh, damn.
Most of the
That
movie's
stuff
very...
was a hecking ride.
Well, the first lines in the movie is that the main character was a kamikaze pilot.
Yeah, it takes place in 1940s post-war Japan, actually. The end
Yes.
of the
Well,
war specifically.
Our first scene actually starts off with right at the tail end of the war.
yeah. So Godzilla Minus One. Like, give me your overall thoughts on the movie.
Very, very good. Very interesting shift on its story by focusing more on a human character rather than Mr. Zilla.
Yeah.
I think it was really good and sticked very true to the history surrounding that era and the culture surrounding Japan, and that's one thing I love. But I also love the characterization and all that stuff that was part of it.
Yeah. All I have to say is, let's just say I'm 4 for 4 with amazing theater experiences this year.
Yeah.
Mario movie, Across the Spider-Verse, Blue Beetle, and now Godzilla Minus One. Absolutely phenomenal
What about
movie.
FNAF?
Godzilla.
I mean, we didn't watch it on theaters, but isn't FNAF good too?
But well, the FNAF movie was great. We watched it on streaming, but because we couldn't get everyone together to go to the theater.
Yeah.
But we watched it together. It was good. But back to Godzilla Minus One. Let's go. Let's talk about. We're gonna talk about the movie. Talk about what we liked, what we didn't like. As well, I can't think of anything I didn't like off the top of my head.
Maybe it was a bit too slow in its pacing, but I think that was actually really important. Because
Yeah,
it's
more about the humans than Godzilla.
Yeah, Godzilla only appears in I want to say 4 scenes.
Let's see. You've got the initial attack on Oto Island, and you've got the boat.
The boat, and
The
then
boat scene, the attack on Ginza, and then you've got the final battle.
yeah. So
on
he
the
only
ocean.
appears 4 times in the movie.
4 scenes, all fantastic, by the way.
Granted,
Yeah.
he was on those scenes for a very long time because that was the kind of centerpiece. But I think the movie still had more time spent on them developing plans to fight him, which I actually think works really well because again, this is a lot more character driven. Godzilla is a lot more of a force of nature in this movie than a character, and that's kind of the point. So I think that works really well.
Yeah, the issue is, when it comes to writing for Godzilla, you have to have... The thing about Godzilla is he's always been used to, convey a message in his
Yes.
movies. You can have less serious vampire films or werewolf films, so like that. But Godzilla has always had a message behind him, and this Godzilla very much is about the horrors of war, the shadow of war on Japan.
Yeah, and it
Which is sorry, go on.
and it's portrayed very well overall. It almost made me cry seeing the devastation that was brought by this war overall,
Yeah.
and the rocky relations with America mentioned, and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. So I actually really like the fact that they brought up that America wasn't going to help them fight off Godzilla, nor was the Japanese government, because they were too busy trying to just cover things up.
Yeah, and that's another good point. There was no intervention from the Japanese government in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, usually it's the government that's, like, fighting Godzilla, figuring out what to do. But they were nowhere to be found. So, we start off in the movie with really interesting, like, very interesting initial scene. We meet up with this,
A pilot flies in with a bomb strapped to the bottom of his plane. We don't, at this time, we don't actually,
Yeah, we don't realize what he is until they talk about it when the guy lands and they do a checkup on his plane.
He lands saying that there's an issue with his plane, so they walk up to him.
Pull the trigger and commit kamikaze like the Japanese soldiers did that time.
That was not the way to word it.
I know.
All right. He is okay. Actually, wait. What's his name again?
Fuck. I remember the characters, not so much their names. I remember them by their faces, not their names. Which is
Hold
really.
up, I'll look it up.
Yeah, but that character.
Something?
Is it Shin?
Shisaki?
Shimisaka?
Hold on.
He's looking it up. I think it's Shikishima.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Just look
no,
up
that's the actors. God damn it.
Godzilla. Yeah, it should say the name of the character they played underneath that.
It doesn't.
Oh no.
God damn. What the fuck is his name?
I think it's Shikishima.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Those of you who have seen the movie and know, give us a gentle reminder in the comments.
Or you can just wait 2 minutes, motherfucker. No, that's the. Where's the plot? There's the plot.
Don't swear, Daniel, or the YouTube algorithm will get this
We're
video.
cutting. This is not going in the video. This entire 2 minutes we just had.
No.
Shikishima.
Yeah, Shikishima. That was right.
All right.
So so Mr. Shikishima, he is. Well, he's a kamikaze pilot that
Chickened out.
he chickened out. Well, I feel like that's a bit harsh because he's kamikaze pilot.
Yes, that is
But
how they worded. I'm pretty sure that's how they worded it in the movie.
Yeah, that's how they saw it, which sucks for him.
Yes. So a lot of
So he's at this base, like getting his plane inspected, and then we cut to later that night, where something very strange happens.
If by strange you mean giant fucking lizard kills everyone except for the main character that's plot armor, then yes, I'd say it's strange.
It's strange that the lizard was the. I didn't expect this movie to actually show us Godzilla pre-nuclear bombs.
Yes.
He's just a dinosaur, just vibing.
He was just
randomly, a big spiky dinosaur.
Randomly, a dinosaur appeared.
And randomly, a dinosaur that the locals of the island knew about.
Yep, and his name was Godzilla. And immediately, Shikishima is... God damn it. Shikishima is tasked with going to his plane and trying to scare it off with his machine guns. The 20mm machine guns that, according to them, will punch through anything. Which they clearly proved 2 seconds later when they started firing wildly and failed to do anything.
Yeah.
Making us question why they thought him firing them would mean anything.
Yeah.
But
the 20mm is a lot more powerful than a standard firearm.
They were I think they're yes, true. I mean, weren't they using 20mm?
No, 20mm is an aircraft
weapons.
cannon.
Oh, fair point. I am somewhat of a gun nut, and apparently I do not know the difference between airplane ammo and firearm ammo.
Yeah, 20mm is an aircraft round.
Well, we learn later that it doesn't.
Conventional weaponry does not work.
Yep.
Even when he wasn't
except
even
when
radiated.
it does.
So one of the things after everyone dies except for 2 people, the mechanic and Shikishima, die.
Yeah.
By foot.
And jaw.
Stomp.
And jaw too.
Yeah, because Godzilla,
Oh, and the tail. You can't forget the tail.
yeah, because like Godzilla was actively killing people in this scene. He
Yeah.
wasn't just like walking around like
he was not
incidentally
just an
killing
angry
them.
lizard stomping. He was deliberately
He was
trying to kill.
deliberately killing people in this movie.
The entirety of Japan had said something really mean about his mother, and he was not happy about
That could work. That could be.
Oh no.
I mean, I guess.
it. Anyways,
Yeah, So why are we bringing this up in the first place?
why is us recapping the first scene of the movie so important? Well,
This movie does something that a lot of movies in its genre don't even attempt.
Yeah.
It focuses on giving compelling human drama that doesn't take away from the impact of the kaiju scenes.
Yeah. Like we already mentioned, Godzilla only appears in 4 scenes in this movie.
Yeah.
And that reminds me, like the only other movie that had something like that was the original. Godzilla appeared in very few scenes of the movie.
Which is referenced a lot. They use that song quite a bit in this movie, speaking
Like
of.
the original Godzilla theme.
Yep.
Yeah. And like this Godzilla also has like roars sampled based on the original Godzilla's roars as well. Yeah.
I didn't even notice.
Well, they edited them and modernized them.
Well, yeah, that's probably why I didn't notice it.
Yeah. But yeah, it is still those original roars at its core. This is very much a spiritual successor to that original movie.
Yes.
Which still holds up today.
Yeah.
Funnily enough.
Yeah, we watched that a couple weeks ago. And it was really good as well.
Anyway, that's enough rambling.
Yeah.
The important part about this is, yes, this is actually... I already forgot his name.
Shikishima.
Shikishima.
This is actually Shikishima's story.
This is Shikishima's story with Godzilla just being there.
Gorgeous.
Which is hilarious.
Godzilla is Shikishima's like villain.
I find it hilarious.
Godzilla's the
that
villain in Shikishima's story.
Yeah, so yeah, Godzilla is not the focus, even though he kind of is the main conflict and is a gigantic nuclear lizard that can create nuclear explosions.
Oh yeah, the atomic breath in this movie.
Yes.
It was like I remember seeing that they like showed it off like somewhat in the trailers, but they didn't like show. I don't know if they showed the full scene. I tried to stay as blind as possible going into this movie, and I think that worked really well. But in the trailers, I think they did show like the lead up to the first atomic breath in Ginza.
I adore the fact that his spines go out.
His spines like freaking like burst out, like push up out of his back.
Yeah,
and then
they like charging up, and then like he breathes in the nuclear power,
and he breathes in, and then and like they all like crunch back in at the same time too.
Yeah, and then when the beam actually lands, it's not like it's cutting through things. It's just a fucking nuke.
Yeah, it's like at the point where it hits, a nuclear explosion goes off.
Yeah, like no uncertain terms, the massive shockwave included.
Yeah, and then not to mention when we saw it in Ginza, the fucking black rain that fell afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask about that because I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, it's like it's rain like filled with like ash and soot and shit.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
It is. Like this is the most like horrifying version of the atomic breath we've ever had.
And Godzilla in general, I'd say. There's another thing.
Yeah.
So normally Godzilla just kind of face tanks everything. You hit him with a bomb, there's no damage. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah,
In
this
movie,
Godzilla, he takes the damage, he just heals the fuck back.
There's actually a scene where, during the scene where the bomb goes straight into his mouth and it gets blown up, you actually see a chunk of his face missing.
And then it just grows right back, including his eye.
Yeah, that was weird as
it was
hell.
So
This is the first time. This is the fastest healing factor Godzilla's ever had.
Yeah.
Because usually he doesn't even heal.
He does regenerate, but only from other monsters,
Yes.
and it happens very slowly in other movies.
Yes.
This is the fastest recovery we've seen out of Godzilla.
Yeah, this Godzilla was kind of scary. It's comparable to Shin Godzilla, actually.
Shin Godzilla was scary in a different way.
Shin Godzilla was like this massive beast that was evolving.
Yeah,
and had blood coming out. And
Shin Godzilla is a much more like modern fear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like the original Godzilla and -1 are very much represent the fear of the atomic bomb.
And then there's
Yes.
that silly Godzilla in the middle who drop kicked someone in the face.
That's only for like a certain period, and like that ended in the 70s.
Yeah, and it's very clear to see that is no longer around.
Yeah, no. Well, the closest we have to it now is the Monsterverse. They are getting kind of campy with it. And honestly, it works for those movies nowadays.
Yeah. But this is not that. This is the story of someone else that we completely sidetracked to gush about Godzilla, even though, like we said, he's not the focal point of this movie.
I mean, it is Godzilla still, so a bit of gushing is in order.
Yes, but let's go back to our character we keep sidetracking.
Our man Shikishima. Our boy Shikishima.
Poor old Shikishima. His life sucks ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, comes home from managing to get out of having to blow himself up for a, quote, honorable death, as they called
Only
it.
to find out that his home was firebombed, his family's
Yep.
dead.
He comes home to Tokyo after the Tokyo firebombings,
Yes.
which, if you didn't know, was not only the single most effective bombing raid in history, it also resulted in the same amount of casualties as Hiroshima. Well, a similar amount of casualties as Hiroshima, and more than Nagasaki.
Yeah.
And he comes home to find that
There's a reason we have the Geneva Convention in place right now, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a reason that came into effect.
Yeah, like our man's house is one of many that was burned to the ground. Like his entire neighborhood is just like ash and ruins.
Yep. So, how does everybody feel about Survivor's Guilt? Not fun, right? Well, that's
Shikishima in 2 words: survivor's guilt.
Yes, the idea that he managed to survive something that ended up getting so many other people killed makes him feel guilty because he thought he should have died.
Yeah, like again, it's a really good depiction of survivor's guilt because it keeps coming back.
And also,
like the more shit Godzilla destroys, the more Shikishima feels like it should have been him.
yeah.
Yes.
And it's like, additionally, PTSD, which was in high during freaking World War II and its aftermath.
Like he was already fighting in World War II.
Yes.
Told
and
to
that-
die. He was expected to die, and when he didn't die, people got mad at him for not dying.
Yeah, and then add on top of that, fucking Godzilla coming in and murdering this entire island of mechanics.
Yep.
Murdering his entire base.
So,
And yeah, imagine what that would do to a person.
yeah, and then imagine it gets worse, because we're not done here. No,
Yeah, no.
Godzilla really wanted to make sure that this man did not have a good time.
Yeah, it's almost like Godzilla follows Shikishima around.
Yeah.
That's why I described him as sort of like he's sort of like a shadow of Shikishima's he's
Guilt,
essentially
yeah.
a personification of Shikishima's trauma.
Yeah, and if honestly, yeah, thinking about it more, that's kind of how the movie ends in a way. Like, yeah. No, it's
You defeated Godzilla in the end, but he's not truly gone.
that was
Yes.
For
not
any
what-
Godzilla fans for any Godzilla fans watching, they pulled a GMK ending
I was not referring to that, but okay.
where they destroyed him. A piece of him is still left.
Let's save that for later.
Yeah.
But it sort of signifies that, like, sure, he was able to recover, but there's still a piece of it always there.
Yeah, it was kind of like an allegory for trauma
Yeah.
and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I really liked that.
Yeah, I really liked how that was how they interpreted him. But let's talk about more of how Godzilla fucks things up, because of course he does. So our man Shikishima gets a job destroying mines. Surprisingly, not as dangerous as it might sound, because
They're just cutting the cords, letting them float back up, and then Shikishima has to shoot them to blow them up.
yep, simple, effective. We actually get to introduce the 3 other characters that I remember the names.
Yeah,
of.
we got the boat captain, the scientist guy, and Kid. They call him Kid throughout the movie
Yes.
because he's the only one of the group that wasn't part of the war.
Yep. And the idea is that like these are basically his friends right now. Like
Yeah.
it's not like he has like
Yeah, them and Noriko and Akiko. Right when he's like first like trying to deal with living in the destroyed like
Ruins.
in the destroyed like town, he comes across this girl
who gives him a baby.
Yeah, just says, "Excuse me," puts the baby in his hands and runs off.
Yeah, no, when I said that I was being literal, not in the other way.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like puts a baby in his hands, runs off, and Shikishima has to deal with, "Oh, this baby is in my possession now." And
No.
he tries to leave it, but he can't for obvious reasons because like he couldn't leave a baby like that.
No. So he goes to the girl.
So he comes back, and he goes back, take the baby, and then finds the girl again.
Yeah.
And he just at first he doesn't want to help them. Like
At first he's like, "Get out of my house," and then she decides not to leave his house.
She just falls like she makes him like bring them in for like dinner. And then she immediately falls asleep in his house.
And
Yes.
then proceed to 2 years of them living together,
Yeah.
not officially married.
Yep,
Yeah.
they're just this little girl's surrogate parents.
Yep, because this girl's parents died in the firebombing.
Mm-hmm.
How many times are we going to mention people who died in the firebombing?
Oh, a hell of a lot.
Actually, not, because there's not really much else to mention.
Yeah,
There's not-
There's also his neighbor Sumiko, who's like, she's one of the people that we see that's mad at him for not blowing himself up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
now he has to deal with childcare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better, which
Yeah.
actually might sound terrible, but it's actually not too bad. He actually starts to grow to like it over time.
Yeah.
Because
They become a surrogate family for each other.
yeah, and he's finally allowed to have a family.
Yeah.
He gets a job blowing up the mines. And he actually enjoys it. It's
chill.
It's a dangerous job, but he has friends on it.
There's slight risk to it, not necessarily that it's dangerous.
Yeah, and over time he just gets good at it.
Yeah.
Then one day they get pulled out and find a massive battle. Was it a battleship?
It's a battleship.
Yeah, a battleship with lots of damage on it.
And
Was it a shark? Was it a?
It looked like it had been bitten into and like torn apart by a massive creature.
Yeah.
It did not look like it was destroyed by another ship or weapons of any kind.
Yeah.
So then they
they're like,
like,
what could have possibly caused this? And then he looks down.
Shikishima, yeah. So in this movie, whenever Godzilla like surfaces, he brings with him a lot of deep sea fish.
Yeah.
Why?
That because Godzilla lives in the deep sea.
But why the fish? That's what I don't.
mean,
Because he like kills them with his radiation as he passes.
Oh.
And
I
then they
did
just
catch on to that.
Yeah, he kills them with his radiation
Yeah,
as he passes, and they just surface, indicating his arrival.
Unfortunately, Godzilla lost his magic band to play his theme music everywhere, but he does have dead fish, so you
Yeah,
win some, you lose some, I guess.
yeah. So Shikishima notices the fish, and he recognizes this is Godzilla's doing.
Yes, and then Godzilla, to prove him right and reward him, kills the other boat team.
Well, that doesn't happen until a bit later. Until
This is when that happens.
No?
Yes, they see the fish.
They get told about the ship getting about them trying to. They don't know what it is until Shikishima sees the fish, but they do know that there's something destroying ships, and they have to
Yes.
No.
lure it out and wait for the
No. This is
big ship to.
Yeah, because the big ship is coming, and they're like, "Why are we out here?" And he's like, "Oh, we're out here because we have to figure out what
We have to stall for time for this ship to get back."
Yes, and then the other ship did not stall for time.
Yeah, no,
because they got eaten immediately.
Yeah, Godzilla just comes up, grabs the ship from underneath in his mouth and just dunks it.
He really likes eating boats today.
Yeah,
and also trains, and also
he just likes putting shit in his mouth.
He's like a really big cat lizard who just really wants to be proud of his destroyed trains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just wants to be part of his destroyed trains, you know.
Sorry,
Yeah.
now I'm just imagining a giant kaiju walking up to your house and dropping an entire train in front of it like a cat drops a dead mouse.
Oh no. Yeah, but yeah. So then Godzilla starts chasing their boat, and they've got a couple of mines that they'd already fished up before, like on their ship, and they prepare to use those against Godzilla. So they blow one up against its body. It does nothing, but then they send in another one into its mouth, and obviously it's going into his mouth. Godzilla's gonna bite the big cord sticking out of it, the cord that they need to detonate the bomb remotely.
So there is another way.
Gun.
The gun.
So
And this actually works.
Yeah, he shoots the bomb, and as we mentioned before, like a chunk of Godzilla's face gets blown off, and then it really quickly recovers.
It's
like
like-
Wolverine almost.
It's like this weird yellow foam. It is nasty.
It like bubbles. It like bubbles and
Yeah.
reforms. It's really
Yes.
creepy.
It is.
And so, and then Shikishima just starts like blasting the gun in its face, like continuing to stall for time, and then until finally the ship arrives.
Yes. And the ship blasts Godzilla with cannons
They
until
do jack shit.
It is jack shit. Godzilla bites the ship, and
Like we got a really good scene of Godzilla just like swimming up to the ship and just like tearing the thing apart, like tearing the whole like bridge and everything apart.
This is one thing I actually really like about this movie is the fact that it's very focused on naval combat as opposed
Yeah.
to like trying to fight him with like Mauser tanks or anything. It's like
yeah.
no, the thing
Maser
Godzilla
tanks.
comes from the sea. If you're trying to fight prevent him from getting on land, you fight him in the sea.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the naval battle they had.
The naval battles were surprised. Like the thing that I really like about it is the fact that it does tension well.
Yeah.
If you know anything about a boat, especially like this piece of crap wooden boats with like a weird engine and stuff, back in 1945, you'll know that these things are not really maneuverable.
Yeah.
And that adds so much to the tension because you know that if Godzilla is trying to do things, his fat ass can still outrun them.
Yeah. And and what's more is one thing that really adds to the tension in that scene is the music. Did you notice the music? It was like a droning like ambient an ambient drone that really underscored the tension of the scene really well, I felt.
Yeah, it's surprising how sometimes less music is more.
Yeah.
Because I was legitimately sitting there like, are these guys gonna die now?
Yeah, it's really well done.
And to top it all off, after the big boat gets destroyed, Shikishima has more PTSD and blacks out again.
Yeah.
Waking up in the hospital.
Because when Godzilla fully destroyed the ship, he actually dives down and uses his atomic breath on it from underwater.
Oh, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
We don't actually get to see the process, but yeah,
we see the
They
blue
knock it-
light from underneath, and then the ship explodes.
Yeah. And yeah, so Shikishima wakes up in the hospital and things suck.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of the
Trauma times 2.
Trauma times 2. And we actually get to see, he is not doing well mentally. He's the survival of his guilt hidden real hard.
Oh yeah.
Like Godzilla's massive dumpy.
But you're not completely wrong, because he does use his tail
He
a
uses
lot
his
in this
tail.
movie. But he's out of line, but he's right. But yeah,
That might need to be a blooper, honestly.
not really, not necessarily.
Godzilla's massive dumpy.
Some of the most out-of-pocket things I've ever said.
It's okay. We could do with a bit of humor in this because
True.
Yeah, this
we're
movie is
talking
really
about
depressing.
we're talking about a very grim movie.
This is a very grim movie.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, PTSD.
Yeah.
He goes home, and his not-wife is really concerned for him because he's being very
very he's hiding himself away again.
Yeah, he's
and
recluse.
He finally lets everything out to her, tells her everything that's eaten away at him.
He feels guilty. He
Yeah.
feels guilty, like he should have been the
And
one guy.
and Noriko reassures him that everyone that survived the war has to live.
Yeah.
Skip by how long?
Yeah, skip. I think it would.
was
So,
like
I don't know if they skipped
half a
that
year?
much.
I think, let's say couple months later.
Yeah, a couple months later, Godzilla pulls up in Ginza.
You forgot the important part that she had a job there.
Yeah, Noriko got a job got a desk job in Ginza.
Yes.
So the moment they mention that Godzilla is surfacing in Ginza,
Everything goes to shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
And Shikishima, I will one day be able to pronounce his name right without stopping.
yeah,
Shikishima rushes over, and yeah, what you expect to happen happens. Godzilla fucks shit up.
yeah. Like at first she's in a train, and just you just see another train go flying in, landing on the tracks in front of them.
Godzilla really likes throwing things with his mouth.
He just likes throwing shit in general.
Yeah,
just
this
like-
is not the only time we're gonna see something that shouldn't be in the air
Yeah,
in
this.
the air.
Yeah, this. Oh, yeah, Godzilla in this movie. Like, this is the most deliberate destruction Godzilla has ever caused.
Yeah, he does a lot of damage that feels intentional. Like
Yeah.
he's mad at something.
Yeah, and I actually really like that we don't learn that much about this Godzilla
Yeah, besides what he does.
and how he comes.
Yes.
You know what I mean by that, you fuck. Get that smile off your
No,
face.
dude, you're being inappropriate again?
Dude, I don't think...
You walked into that one, bro.
Dude, you are making more work for yourself with that one.
I'm not editing this out. We're keeping this in.
God damn
Damn, bro.
I want to make this a little funnier.
I
But-
don't actually know what you mean by that. That's what's screwing me up right now. You sure you want Kim to say?
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, so...
Anyway, she nearly gets killed. But
yeah,
she
because Godzilla comes up and bites down on her train. And she's one of the unfortunate people that gets stuck on the part that's in Godzilla's mouth.
No, she was in the tray next to it. That was dangling.
In the car, she's in the car next to it, but she's still dangling from Godzilla's mouth.
Not from his mouth, but from the train car that is in his mouth.
Yeah, that counts.
She jumps out into the ocean, gets
Yeah,
back
she-
on dry
like he-
land.
Yeah, she's luckily Godzilla brings her over water,
So
so she's able to escape into the water.
get out and immediately has to start running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except she's so shaken, she doesn't even run at first.
She doesn't even run first until Shikishima grabs her and tries to bring her behind the building.
Yeah.
We're shown that the Japanese army, is it like their army?
Yeah.
Like they're still using their old tanks. They're trying to fend off Godzilla. And for the first time, we actually get to see how his atomic breath works here, which we already talked about.
Yeah, we talked about his atomic breath. He does that, and when the shockwave is coming towards them, Noriko shoves Shikishima into an alleyway.
And we see her fly off,
Yeah, she gets blown away.
Yes.
presumed dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much. More
And-
damage for the boy, you know?
Yep, and
Yep.
he sits there in the black rain, screaming at Godzilla that he is a bitch.
Yeah.
Well,
Fuck you specifically, Godzilla. You messed
Fuck
me
you,
up.
Godzilla! Stop taking my friends.
Yeah, it's real bad for him.
Yeah, things are not looking great. So he goes home.
He's
sad.
even more even more shaken.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just this entire character is just so traumatized. It's like where'd he start? He must have started off somewhere nice. No, he was literally trained to die.
Yeah, no, his life has been awful.
Yeah, and it's
The only comfort he ever found was in this nice little pocket that he'd made for himself that he calls home.
and now something in that has been taken away from him. So
Yeah.
when somebody comes up to him and offers to
We have a
possibly be able
plan to
kill,
beat Godzilla,
he
And-
takes it.
and now I'm so glad we got to this part because now we can talk about their fucking plan.
Yes.
Because this is probably my favorite defeating Godzilla plan that I've seen.
Not even that you like it more than the Oxygen Destroyer from the original.
The Oxygen I like the Oxygen Destroyer a lot.
I thought
I
that's
just
what it
like
was gonna be.
I love the Oxygen Destroyer. I just like this a little more
Yes.
because
because
it's more realistic.
because it's something that like we mentioned earlier, the Japanese government has no hand in defeating Godzilla. Well,
Yeah.
they give the people the resources, but it's up to the people to come up with a plan.
So they are given 4 warships, and I think that's all the Japanese government provides for them, and that's it. This entire group is basically all ex-Navy, and they're all on their own.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so their plan is to tie Godzilla up with canisters of, I think they called it Freon?
Fremon or something.
Freon.
Freon?
Something like that.
Something of the sort. It is a gas...
A gas that, when released into water, essentially it creates, a barrier around whatever it is it's, bubbling around, and prevents the seawater from touching it. And the movie actually explains why Godzilla is able to float in the water. It's because of the density of the seawater.
Yeah. So if we were to say, not let him touch seawater, he would basically tumble down he's got Kratos with that cliff.
Yeah. And,
yes.
Because it's in the... But it's also... This is also happening underwater, so he's getting subjected to all that, water pressure.
In such a short amount of time.
Yeah, so they think it would kill him.
Imagine what would happen if you suddenly were teleported to Jupiter.
Yeah.
You would die in a second, because your body had no time to prepare for it.
Yeah, that's the fate they want to subject Godzilla to.
And then
but they do have a plan for if this doesn't work. For
in reverse.
Yeah, they put these helium or something tanks on Godzilla as well. That once Godzilla isn't dead from getting dragged down to the depths, they can immediately force him back up, making him experience the same pressure, making him experience arguably an even greater force.
So why is this your favorite plan?
Because, again, it's because the people it's because it's the people that are coming up with it, not the government. It's something new that we've never seen in a Godzilla movie before.
True.
And honestly, I don't know if we'll ever see something like this again.
It's probable, because the fact that this movie clearly seems to be planning a sequel. But...
Well, not necessarily. GMK didn't have a sequel.
True.
Yeah.
Anyway...
It's more of an open ending.
Yeah, it's more of an open ending. But, regardless... Our mentally distraught ex-kamikaze pilot wants a plane. Which, as soon as I heard that, I immediately went, oh no, that's bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was immediately like, this guy has, only one thing left in his life. A kid. Who he didn't even want in the first place. I'm like, this is bad. This is really bad.
Yeah, and they get this plane, which, actually, Daniel, look at... One of you guys, look it up real quick. Is the freaking...
What was it called?
the plane,
The plane, thank you.
The plane. That's simply
what was it called? It was a specific, plane that they developed at the end of World War II.
Hold on. Yes, it was a real prototype plane. Oh, God. The Shiden.
Let me see it.
It is in Japanese...
The Shinden.
The Magnificent Lightning. It's a prototype plane that uses a propeller in the back instead of the front.
Yep. And it also has, wings on the tail for better maneuverability.
This thing is actually really cool. Put up a picture on the video.
Yeah, I will. Yeah,
yes.
I'll put it on the screen.
There was a total number of 2 built.
Yes.
Actually.
And this movie blew up one of them.
Yeah.
Daniel, you wanted to talk about what they do with that.
Yeah, so he finds his old mechanic buddy who was the beginning of the Survivor's Guild.
He was the only other person to survive the Odo Island attack.
Yeah, and he blames Shikishima really hard for it.
Shikishima.
Fuck.
Shikishima.
So yeah, he finds that mechanic
by
again.
insulting him.
Yeah,
he makes him angry just to find him. Just so that he can be like, hey, can you strap my plane? Can you get this plane working so we can strap it with bombs?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when the first thing that we see is the guy walking up, bashing him in the head, and then dragging him into a shed so we can beat the shit out of him more.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fucked up that it was Shikishima saying, "Hey, I want to do the kamikaze thing," in Godzilla's mouth that convinces the guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what convinces him to actually go along with it.
And then when they're putting it together,
hey,
he sees something.
Yes.
Not gonna say
something
what it is.
sus.
Don't say it yet. It is something sus.
Yeah, he says something.
Something that other Japanese planes at the time, especially kamikaze ones, didn't have.
Hmm. We'll get to that in a bit.
Which, by the way, one of the things during the final days preparations, they actually do bring up how poorly a lot of the Japanese soldiers were treated during.
Yeah,
Yes.
I really like that this movie has a lot of emphasis on the value of human life.
Yes.
I appreciate that
It was
so
really
much.
good that it was like
Especially
that.
in a movie.
It meant a lot.
Especially in a series that is generally known for ungodly amounts of death and destruction with nobody talking about it afterwards.
The
Yeah.
whole purpose of a Godzilla movie is big lizard fuck shit up.
But
Yeah.
when you look at the original, the entire idea was like it was an allegory for the
Yes.
Hiroshima attacks. And well, this one isn't exactly that.
This was more of an allegory for the horrors of World War II in general.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I really appreciate that the scientist at the end is like, I'm going to try and make sure that everyone gets out of this alive.
Yeah.
Spend time with your families tonight, and that kind of thing. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that it's putting value on human life in this scenario.
Yes, and it means a lot.
Yeah, it's really nice. And yeah, anyway.
So the next day they get everything ready to go, and Tachibana is the name of the mechanic, by the way. And he tells Shikishima about the thing we saw, but we don't find out what it is just yet.
Yeah.
Nope. So
So the plan gets started.
the plan is
So
we
they
already
have
went
this
over it.
decoy that's like emitting like recordings of Godzilla's roars into
Yes.
the ocean.
Yes.
The next time we see this boat, it is flying.
Yes, that
the
boat
next,
gets straight up
Godzilla
the
eaten.
next
had-
thing it does after that is crashing into a building.
Yeah,
Yes.
Godzilla just like grabbed this boat and fucking yeeted it at shore.
The boat
Yeah.
The boat is now a building.
Yes.
It is now an
And-
accessory
Yeah.
to a
Yep.
building.
So God fucking damn it. Again, if we can hear it, the mic can.
Oh boy, howdy.
Dogs.
Anyways,
God damn it.
Shakishima tries to lure the
So
giant lizard into the water
So,
over the
yeah,
With
trench.
some really impressive flying, by the way.
yeah,
Yes.
like he's actually a really good flyer by the looks.
Yes.
Yeah. He uses his machine guns basically to piss off Godzilla, and eventually it works. Godzilla starts
Yeah.
to follow him all the way back to the ocean.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
not to but I
Godzilla
think
is
the added
really
layer to
spiteful
that.
at this fly.
Yeah,
Let's say that much.
Yeah, like it's to the point where like he's actually like weaving around Godzilla's attacks.
Yeah,
We-
which
like
was which was super tense, by the way.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it was like so many near misses.
Yeah, it actually
Like-
draws me like,
Like if he had pulled back like a fraction of a second too late, this movie would have been over.
Just
Yes.
turn. If he just didn't turn it. Yeah, like
The Godzilla would have chomped him down and he'd
so
be done for.
they drive him back to
They lure him back out to sea towards this like big like
this
trench.
really deep trench in the sea.
Yeah,
Big
1,500 meters.
Yep.
Big trench.
And they do the plan. They
Drop Godzilla into the bottom of the ocean,
Or at least- well,
but he
no-
survives that.
Not yet. First of all, they sent out two of those destroyers were not manned at all.
Yeah,
were
they
just used as
decoys.
They were just used as decoys for the nuclear.
So they
plant.
can blast. So Godzilla blasts those with his atomic breath, and the scientist guy points out that Godzilla's atomic breath needs time to recharge.
Yeah.
So they take advantage of that to tie the freaking whatever the fuck they called it gas.
Wires.
Let's
Freon
call it the
gas.
super gas.
It's the Freon
Freon
gas.
gas.
Freon.
Yeah, so tie the canisters of Freon gas around Godzilla so they can get their plan working.
By the way, one thing I really want to point out. When the two boats, I actually really like the fact that there was an entire like dramatic scene. The two boats like actually bumping into each other as they're trying to pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that scene hit me really hard because I was like, that was tension brought from something that's really realistic, and it was just human error.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're just gonna have to deal with it. Go.
Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And then Godzilla. So
right
then
before the
Godzilla-
blast goes, Godzilla
Yeah.
tries to charge.
He was
another
about to blast them again with the atomic breath, but then he gets yeeted to the bottom of the ocean.
Yes.
and you actually see his atomic breath like turn off, and you're like, for a second, you're actually
Yeah.
like, did it work?
Yeah.
And
but
then it
then he
doesn't.
starts pulling them down a little more.
So they're like, all right, Plan B, up you go.
And he sends them up, and you actually see this doing some damage to him. Like he starts to like blister up or something. It's
Freeze.
really nasty.
Yeah, it was
Like
like
freezing.
freezing up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nasty.
I-
This movie fucked up Godzilla hard.
Yes.
Oh, we haven't even gone to the worst part of
Oh
it.
god, the
We'll get
end
to that.
scene.
Yeah, fails.
So yeah, Plan
Plan B fails.
B fails because Godzilla chews through the balloons.
So Plan B, Electric Boogaloo.
So
has-
Plan
you
C.
know, Plan Unexpected
B-
BC. Fuck. Whatever the hell you want to call it. A bunch of tugboats come up and just manually drag him up.
May I
Yeah,
mention those
so-
tugboats are not manned by pilots, but they're they're
so
manned by
there were a bunch of people.
they're manned by common people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like we like
They're
we
led
didn't
by
mention,
one of the main
Yeah.
the characters that was on the ship.
So-
Don't cut me off, you all.
Grace. We're trying to keep this cohesive.
I know.
So yeah, so
But also, they weren't common people. They were the people who initially bailed out.
yeah.
Yes.
And not to mention that our boy Kid, who he had been previously left out of the mission because he was the only one that didn't have any wartime experience and had a normal life to go back to.
Yeah.
He purposefully brought all these people out to help with the
Yes.
mission. And they all helped like try and pull Godzilla back up to the surface.
And he does come back up. Pissed.
Fucking
Like,
angry.
yeah, and he charges up
Frozen
his atomic
and
breath again.
And the music completely stops.
Like, not just the
Every-
music, all of the sound cuts out.
You actually see everyone, like, panicking and just kind of accepting their fate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you
And then
see...
the first thing you hear is the sound of the propeller coming in as
Yeah.
Yes.
Shikishima flies in.
Yes. And at this point, you're like, yeah, he's probably going to do it, isn't he? So you see him pull the lever. You see him take a look at his wife. Right as he's flying into Godzilla's atomic, mouth.
And then he pulls the ejector seat.
Yes.
That's what they
that
spotted
was the whole
earlier.
time.
That was what they were spotting earlier and left out,
Yeah.
which was amazing foreshadowing because up to
They
this
had
point...
just talked about how Japanese planes did not have ejector seats in them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love the way this was foreshadowed. Up to this, as soon as I heard plane, as soon as I heard him want a plane, I was like, no, he's going to try and kamikaze. And then he actually just straight up says, I'm like, oh no. And it's like, up to this point, it's clear that his mental distress and his survivor's guilt would make him do it. He would have done it.
Yes.
But there was clearly also like a will to live. He still had a child to care for, like, and one of the things that the mechanic says to him, the mechanic actually points at the lever and says, "Live." So he actually pulls it and survives,
Yeah.
Yes.
leading to the plane crashing into Godzilla's mouth
And exploding, taking off the entire top of Godzilla's head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
Yeah, and it does actually, like, fully kill Godzilla.
He
Like,
explodes.
he crumbles
Yeah,
as all the atomic energy that he had built up for the atomic breath, like, releases. Not in an explosion, like
like just the light effects.
yeah,
Like
it just,
he's-
like, bursts out of him in, like, bits and pieces as Godzilla, like, crumbles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the nastiest death Godzilla's ever had.
And yeah, this actually ends in a happy ending because it turns out, what's her face from earlier?
She survived!
She survived!
Noriko survived!
Somehow she survived the knockback of...
People have survived that in real life, by the
Well,
way.
yes, but that looked like a very long fly.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, she was hospitalized.
She was she was hospitalized, but she did survive, and it ends with our character breaking down sobbing because it's over.
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
war is
The-
finally
Lo
over.
and behold.
That's the line that he actually says in the movie, that his war isn't over yet.
And then she tells him, "Is your war over yet?" in a very sweet voice, and then he breaks down crying.
And,
Yeah.
he
like,
just-
nods and, like starts weeping in her arms.
and
Yeah.
then Godzilla just turns into foam because he's not dead yet.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
s-
like,
the final
you see, like, the last little lump of Godzilla. This is, like, the GMK ending I was talking about.
Yeah.
Where, like, in GMK, all that was left of Godzilla at the end of that movie was his heart. And that was, like, sitting at the bottom of the ocean, and then it just started beating.
Yeah.
And then this movie did something similar, where you see, like, a chunk of Godzilla floating in the ocean, and then you see it, like, starting to foam and bubble, like,
And you
like it
actually
does.
see the heart beating as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
And
synopsis.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's Godzilla -1.
And my goodness, did it do so many things right with its character.
Yes. It really did.
Its character, I think that its character-driven nature, like Godzilla, yeah, he was, he's in the title. he's a giant lizard you can't ignore. And
Yes.
like, yeah, he still is the central conflict, but the fact that there was also just interpersonal conflict of
Yes.
like, yeah, this traumatized ex-kamikaze pilot trying, like, who would like gladly sacrifice himself to save like his family.
Yes.
Like, the entire movie is basically building up to this whole guilt thing. He wishes he could have just killed this thing himself.
Yes.
Even though in all the scenarios previously, he couldn't have done shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing he could have done.
And that's how survivor's guilt works.
And
Yes.
that's why I think it works so well for building a good character here. Because,
Yeah. And it's especially good for a Godzilla movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, in the ending, like, I was more so surprised that there was an ejector seat. Because I was, like, that part wasn't brought up, but it was very clear.
I was lowly convinced initially that he was going to do the actual kamikaze thing, like he said earlier.
Yeah.
And he did. He literally said, "I'm gonna live. I'm gonna get out of here." And then, yeah, that happened.
There is literally there's like 2 frames of you actually seeing him make his choice where he pulls the ejector seat.
Yeah.
Every part up to that, you have no clue.
Yes.
Yep.
There was foreshadowed that there might be an ejector seat, but it wasn't made clear.
They hint at it, but you don't actually know for sure until you see those 2 frames of him pulling the switch.
Yep.
Yes.
And even then, you don't even know if he survived in the end until you actually see everybody pointing it out.
Yeah.
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 And I love the big group salute when they knew they won. It was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really like how the purpose of kind of this, it kind of struck me as like inner turmoil. Like Godzilla, again, as you said, Godzilla kind of represents all the bad in this guy's life. And the
It's
fact
like
that there's
this
still...
guilt. Yeah, it's like a massive guilt just like overhanging him. Except that instead of being like Godzilla is your sleep paralysis demon, it's Godzilla is destroying half the city.
Yes. It's like, it's
Yeah.
very real.
Which,
but,
in all fairness, I think is way scarier than a sleep paralysis demon.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like the allegory for the self stuff.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
I-
Because I'm a psychology major, so that stuff means a lot to me.
Yeah, I
So-
just love the way that there was this whole metaphor. You could have told me Godzilla was not actually in the movie and it was all a dream,
Yeah.
and I would have believed you.
Yeah.
This movie is just a masterpiece, honestly.
This is a
Yes.
this is a complete masterpiece.
Yeah, like, I loved Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse was an amazing movie as well. I think this tops it for me.
Yeah.
I legit,
Like, I'm a huge super hero nerd, so I love all those movies desperately. So basically, this Godzilla movie felt so different from the stuff I normally watch, and I absolutely adored it. Plus, Yuval here has been getting me into Godzilla, but that's a question for another day, you know?
the
Yeah.
thing I love the fact, like, I feel like the main character here has so much more going for him than a lot of like characters in recent movies.
Yeah.
He feels like a person, and that's something I think is so important with your characters. Make them feel like a person, even if it's God. They should still feel like a person. Like who has grown up and acts like, how somebody like us would react in the situations we're in.
Yeah.
This is a traumatized ex-kamikaze fighter who has had really not much of anything good happen in his life, but is still like convinced to live because of the other people telling him to, the other people trying to encourage him to
His
have a better
wife,
life.
the fact that he has a daughter, the whole mind-getting group.
His group, his group.
Also,
like,
I love that we keep calling her his wife when they keep insisting that he's not married to her.
yeah, I know.
But
That's
she
how-
might
that's
as
their
well be his wife.
Yeah.
He might as well be, but they're not technically together. But yeah,
Yeah, but they did say that Shikishima did say that he would have wanted to actually marry her.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, though, but I think the messages in this movie are very interesting for a movie about a giant atomic lizard. I'm gonna be real.
Yeah.
The whole
I did not expect some drama, war drama.
not even war drama, post-war drama.
I never expected a post-war drama to be a Godzilla movie. Like normally
It works the thing. That's what's
I'm
Yeah.
so used to big lizard destroys things. Big lizard fights a giant moth.
yeah. Big lizard gets shot by a laser tank. Doesn't work, but works anyway because like that's what a lot of Godzilla movies end up being. But this is a lot closer to the original, where it has a message, and I think this one's message is so strong, where it's about life, and the whole purpose. What are we fighting for?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It's not just like this whole thing of faceless civilians and soldiers fighting giant lizard. It's we want to live because we have families in the end. That's also why we're fighting.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, this movie was absolutely fantastic. Again, you have until Thursday the 14th to watch this in theaters.
Or if it becomes stream available, I don't know if it will. It probably will.
Maybe.
It might be on Prime or Prime Video or something like that, but we don't know yet.
We don't
Yeah,
know.
until next time.
Oh wait,
Oh.
there's something we forgot to mention.
What?
This movie had a budget of $15 million and was basically what was it? All the effects.
The directing, writing, and visual effects were all managed by one person with a budget of $15 million.
This is what not being restricted by other people does to your creativity.
Yeah, and not being restricted by the company as well.
Oh
Yes.
Like, this was one man's creative vision, and it's so clear and beautifully realized in this movie.
Yes.
It's like, I am not a movie person. I'm going to make this clear. I am not a movie person at all. I don't like watching movies. I loved this.
Yeah.
The issue I usually have with movies is just usually the character development, because there's just not enough time for it. This did it perfectly with less budget than most movies get nowadays.
Yeah.
It's... Yeah.
Yeah, like, goes to show you can't put a price on good writing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about with this movie?
Nope.
So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
See you later. Stay frosty milk tea.
What?